About a year and a half ago, I found this little 1 acre piece of land on a dirt road on top of a hill, and it was all overgrown and just woods. And I have converted it into my own little private campsite. Come on, let me show you what I've done. So this has changed from the original plan of being a completely off-grid tent site. But as I used it, I realized that wasn't really what I wanted. This is more what I wanted. It feels like a campground. I could just roll in here, plug in, unlock the RV, and I'm good to go. So when I first bought this plot of land, it's 1 little acre. It was overgrown. It was a lot of brush. It was a lot of thorny stuff and a little bit of some hardwoods. But the plan was to build a deck and leave my 13-foot canvas bell tent up. And after talking to a bunch of people, they said that's probably not the best idea because it's not going to weather too well if you leave that up year round. So with that being said, a little bit of advice from some friends and a buddy who actually owns a campground who gave me some advice on how to put in a driveway. It turned into this. So when I first bought this property, the biggest problem was the mud. You know, cutting down trees, removing brush, that's easy. But when you're constantly dealing with that, as soon as it rains, that turns into a pit that you get stuck in and you could barely walk through. So first thing was to put in a driveway. That meant doing some prep work, getting rid of some brush, and then carving out a spot in the woods where the RV would end up. That meant removing a couple of trees, and honestly it was only a handful of trees that we had to take out, which was super easy using this machine. And once the trees were down and the brush was out of the way, it was just a matter of doing some leveling work. But before we brought the gravel in, we had the electrician come in and he dug a ditch to bury some conduit because the pole where the power was going to connect was at the other end of the property from where the RV was going to be. So we got all that done before the gravel came in. The pad and the driveway were 3 loads of gravel. There was 2 loads of a base material that you're seeing being dumped here, and then there was a 3rd load of some bigger gravel that went on top of the entire area. And then the shed got to take a little ride to the opposite end of the property where it originally was because I wanted to have it back behind the RV pad. And then the next issue was connecting to the grid. Electricity. I went back and forth on whether or not I wanted it. And after spending a winter here on a deck and a tent, I was like, yeah, electricity would be nice. So the convenient part is there was a pole right there. So called the electric company, and it was pretty affordable to put in the electric. Ran some conduit that goes from the pole over to the other 2 posts, and let me show you those. So there's the pole, and you can see how close this is. I call this the guest post. This is the main hookup, but there's a hookup right here. If somebody wants to drag their RV in here, they've got power. You know, you got your meter here, and then we put conduit going over there where the main post is for my RV. I call this the main post. This is right behind my RV. It's got multiple hookups in it, so I could have an upgrade if I wanted it down the road. Don't really need that right now, but got a couple of extension cords plugged in there for various things, which I will show you in a moment. But that is the main post. Up next, we got the shed. This is dual purpose. There is storage and a kitchen in there. I'll get to that in a moment. But first, just wanted to point out, this outlet is just plugged into an extension cord, and I did that mainly because I'm not sure where this is going to end up. This might be its final place. It might move somewhere else. I might need that space for a bigger RV someday. So I didn't want to bury conduit and get into all that. So for now, that's just a temporary measure. Inside, we got a light up there. There's one outlet over there. And then the kitchen area. Especially during the winter time, it makes it really easy because the RV is winterized at the moment. So this is a little pump. That's like 20 bucks over on the eBay or the Amazon. And that all empties out into a bucket. There's your water source. And then storage back here. So right next to the shed here, we've got a little picnic area. Eventually something's going to have to be done over here, whether it's a deck or I get in there and really level it off, because you can't tell in the video, but the hill is kind of like that, if that makes sense. Gas fireplace over there. If I don't want to get into a big fire, I can always just fire that up. And then, of course, the RV. Myers RV. I do endorsements for them. I work for a radio station in Rochester, New York, 92.5 WBEE, which you can listen to on the Odyssey and the iHeart app. Just your standard, no bump outs. Didn't want any bump outs in here. Less to go wrong. But that little fireplace fits perfectly in that nook. The heat comes out of the bottom there where it's orange. It looks great. It lights up the whole room at night. It's actually kind of cool. It's almost like it was meant to be there. But it keeps it super comfy in here. I've been down here where it's 30 degrees and that keeps it nice and warm. And as far as the water goes, what do? I just bring it in. I have a 5-gallon jug. Picked it up from Walmart. It fits underneath the sink in there. And I have another 2-gallon jug with drinking water. So I have water to do dishes. I'm not taking showers down here. I'm not usually here long enough to worry about that anyway. So not really a problem. The RV, you can't use it during the winter time. So the options were a bucket or dig a hole and hope that nobody sees that. Or I bought one of those off of Facebook. My absolute favorite part of the property though, it's right here. Fire pit area. It's right behind the RV. And the gravel that I had put in for the driveway, I had plenty left over. So I ended up using it to make some trails going back there into my ginormous 1-acre plot of land. Now, I know it probably doesn't sound like a big deal to have gravel on these paths, but trust me, this was all mud. And you could not be down here in the spring and early summer because it was just mush. So this will take care of that. This is my absolute favorite part of the campsite. Woods right over there, so you don't have to go too far for that. Then I just built the trails back a little bit. This area back here is going to be maybe a deck for the tent. I have a 13-foot canvas tent that is absolutely beautiful, so that might be a fun place to put up for the kids or visitors to come up here, but this is all going to be nice and dry. Hey, I don't know about you, but I love a good vibe light, and you can't have a campfire outside without some very cool lights to go with it. So is a camp like this ever done? I'm sure there's little projects that are going to pop up here and there, but for the most part, I absolutely love what this has turned into. Completely different from what I started out with a year and a half ago, but absolutely love coming down here. I can't wait to spend a ton of time down here with friends and family. Hey, thanks for watching. Leave a comment. Of course, subscribe and follow. And I would love to keep in touch online. Find me at Outdoors with Billy Kid on Instagram and Facebook.